of Facebook Series Finals. We're about to get underway. It is going to be Ron versus Ben. One point of clarification is that because Ron is undefeated in the upper bracket, he is at an advantage, and so Ben will need to win 2 best-of-5 series if he wants to complete the comeback after dropping down to lower bracket round 1 and then coming all the way back to the finals. We're just waiting for bans. Looks like Ron is going to be banning Ben's Rogue. I believe this is Quest Rogue from what I recall. And just waiting for Ben's ban to come in. 3, 4. I think with a lineup like Ben's, which is rather greedy, I may expect to see a counter Rogue ban. Although in Ron's case, it's because Ron's odd Rogue is super aggressive and can punish a lot of Ben's greedier decks, especially both the Hunter and the Shaman. Obviously, the Taunt Druid that Ben's running, if I recall correctly, is pretty strong, and it is going to be Rogue. Double Rogue. And yeah, as sort of expected, double Rogue ban. And it's going to be Ron playing the Token Druid, the Death Rattle Hunter, and the Even Lock versus the Taunt Druid, Death Rattle Hunter, and Shudderwalk Shaman from Ben. And so with bans in, I expect that we will get underway very rapidly into the games. And so, looking forward to it. Also, I just realized my Discord overlay shows on stream. Oh well, not a huge deal. Wonder why Discord's not catching that and activating streamer mode. Well, we're just waiting for contestants to get into game. I'm expecting a Hunter Mirror starter just because, well, actually, am I? Hunter, well, the first game would be a Mirror, but Death Rattle Hunter is otherwise very good against Ben's lists, whereas it struggles a little bit against the Token Druid of Ron, so... On the other hand, I feel like Ron in general has a solid matchup advantage from his lists. He has a good range of decks to be able to punish greed, and so the hard part for him is just to make sure that he matches the decks correctly. The Even Lock may prove to be a bit of vulnerability, but I believe it's quite good against the Taunt Druid. Although Taunt Druid is rare enough in the current meta that I don't have a great amount of knowledge about that matchup. Bans have been communicated through to both players. We're just waiting for him to hop in game now. Should be presently, and hopefully we can get started soon. Some additional context. Ron has been incredibly consistent throughout throughout the Hearthstone series at Facebook. He's actually made it to playoffs, the elimination stage, in every single series. He's the only player to play in playoffs in every series, and only one of 2 players to qualify for playoffs in every series. There was another player, Logan, who did qualify for every single playoffs, but he opted out of playing the very first playoff in favor of casting it. And then everyone else has either skipped the series or been knocked out in group stages at some point. Unfortunately, Ron has not not so far been able to parlay his consistency into an overall victory. But given his standing on the winning side of the grand finals, having that 1-0 series lead, this has been his best chance at it so far. On the other hand, Ben, I believe, is a newcomer to the scene, and well, what a meteoric first playoffs. Getting knocked down into loser's bracket in round 1, then clawing his way tooth and nail through some very, very skilled players all the way back to the grand finals. And I believe they're both also teammates on one of Facebook's HGL teams, the Facebook is the Placebook team. And so, yeah, it's going to be two players who should be fairly familiar with each other's styles, and I'm definitely looking forward to one banger of a series, as they say. They're preparing to battle a friend now, so we should be able to get underway any second now. And here we are. Alright, Blizzard spectators to client, be nice. It's going to be a Druid versus Druid in game 1, so that's going to be the Taunt Druid versus the Token Druid. Oh, never mind. It's actually double token druid mirror. I was incorrect. There was another player who had the taunt druid previously. Uh, oops, my bad. I believe that may have been David who had the taunt druid actually then. So it's going to be double token druid. One thing of note here is that Ben, let me just double check I have the right list. It is Ben's druid. Okay. So one thing of note here is that Ben is running the Violet Teacher version of token druid, whereas Ron is running the Strong Shell Scavenger version. And so, from my understanding, the strong shell version is significantly stronger in the mirror. That's actually one of the reasons why it's been so popular lately. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited to see the outcome there. And so Ron opts to keep the Serenite Chain Gang into Strong Shell Scavenger curve, whereas no wild growth for either player. So one thing of note here is that going wide on the board in the mirror is actually sort of dangerous because of how ridiculously strong Spreading Plague is. If you get slammed by like a Spreading Plague branching paths, for example, you can be in a really rough spot. And so both players may be trying to avoid that. And so, yeah, start is sort of as expected. We may even see double hero power into Coin Nourish now that Ron has double Arcane Tyrant in his hand, just because that is such a ridiculously strong curve. On the other hand, I very much doubt we'll see Savage Roar for 4 damage. It's probably just going to be hero power and pass. Well, hero power attack and pass. And I'll be interested to see whether or not he tries to curve into Whispering Woods. Because Whispering Woods can honestly somewhat be a liability in the mirror because of the existence of Spreading Plague, and so getting it out early and potentially curving it into Soul of the Forest or like some Savage Roar shenanigans may be the best value you get out of the card, even though we see that it'll most likely get swiped immediately. On the other hand, the Oaken Summons is just really tempting. Playing Oaken Summons on 4 always feels good. It's guaranteed to pull you a Violet Teacher, although once again, there's a similar problem where the 1/1s from the Violet Teacher are fodder for Spreading Plague. Speaking of Spreading Plague, neither player actually has drawn it yet, so it may be that they're playing around, well, a Phantom Spreading Plague, but you always have to be worried about the Spreading Plague being a massive factor.
Now how about...
And it is going to be the Whispering Woods. This is probably going to force a reaction from Ron, while previously it would have been tempting to coin out Nourish and double Arcane Tyrant because of how ludicrously strong that play is. Like 5 mana, ramp 2 mana crystals and play 2 4/4s? Yes, please. Now we may be looking at a swipe just to clear out this initial board. It depends on how worried he is about a follow-up from, Branching Path, Savage Roar, Soul of the Forest. Are all pretty scary. And yeah, looks like Ron is now carefully debating his options, because committing a swipe early is not always good. If they have a refill right after the swipe, I mean, you're sort of back to square one. But I feel like if in this position as Ron, I would be worried about this board, and swiping is the safe play. And we see here that there's not really a great follow-up from Ben. He's going to drop the Giggling Inventor, and now we may even see something like Nourish, Arcane Tyrant, Power of the Wild. I think Nourish is almost guaranteed here. It just feels like way too strong a curve play. Yep, Nourish, Ramp 2, Tyrant, and it's going to be Hero Power. Okay. Hero power is fine. I'm perfectly fine with taking off the Divine Shield of one of the Ignorotrons. Seems like a very reasonable play to me. And so I'm a little curious to see how this Arcane turn will be dealt with. Swipe is not terrible. You swipe one, attack a 2-1 and your face into the other one, and you still have a pair of taunts. We can see Savage Roar, double Savage Roar. Wait, that's a lot of damage. I don't believe that's lethal. That's plus 16 damage to 4 on board. So that is not quite lethal, but it's going to put Ron on 2 health. Wow. That's a hyper aggressive play. I really like it actually. With the swipe in hand, you're setting up for something really scary. On the other side, it looks like we may see something like Saronite Chain Gang's branching paths. Nope, he's gonna strong shell, and that if he strong shells, that's game one in the bag right there with swipe. Oof. I can definitely see the rationale behind wanting to set up the Saronite because you want to block, you know, a branching paths follow up. But swipe as the direct damage is just gonna end this game. And that's going to be a 1-0 quick series lead from Ben, making the start of a very, very long climb back. And so that is going to be the Druid from Ron eliminated, and the 1-0 series lead. As a follow-up, I'll be curious to see what Ron pulls out. I believe it's almost definitely going to be the Even Lock, which is very strong against the Token Druid, as opposed to the Death Rattle Hunter, which is most certainly not. And so, like, if I were Ron, I would be like, okay, my Even Lock can win this matchup. It may lose in the follow-up, but I have confidence in my Death Rattle Hunter to clean up the rest. And that is exactly what he's going to send out. I believe he'll keep Defile. Defile is incredible in this matchup, and probably pitch the rest looking for Mountain Giant. Keeping Twilight Drake is always a debate in the Even Warlock. Some people prefer to do it, some don't. I'm personally conflicted about this. In certain matchups, I'm okay with keeping the Twilight Drake, where like 4 attacks all you need. But I think this may be one of them. Like you just want to reliably get a big minion up on board to kill things with. But on the other hand, no open air on this deck is nearly as strong as turn 3 or turn 4. Well, turn 3 on the coin, turn 4 on the draw Mountain Giant. Dread Infernal is another very relevant card in this matchup. It can clear a lot of the little tokens that this token druid generates, especially with the Violet Teacher version. And there is only one copy of it. Wow, that's going to be a coin Power of the Wild, making the big tempo play. That's really interesting to see. With Wild Growth in hand, that's something that's like, man, I'm really committing, especially with Wild Growth and Whispering Woods in hand. On the other side, Ron respects this enough to actually skip the turn 2 tap to develop a Vulgar Homunculus. There's always a debate here. Like, I personally prefer always tapping on 2 and then tapping and playing a 2-drop on 3. Lets you fit in an extra tap where otherwise you wouldn't be able to. And the Vulgar gets answered very cleanly by, of all things, a second Power of the Wild to buff up the first 3-2. So Wild Growth finally comes out. He has Jasper Spellstone to continue putting on the pressure, and well, why not? You've put in a lot of damage, and now Ron has a hard decision of whether or not he wants to just commit Twilight Drake or Spellstone. I really like Twilight Drake, because actually if your opponent knocks you down to 16, you can tap and hook Reaver next turn, and that feels really good. On the other side, Whispering Woods suddenly feels pretty mediocre. You're summoning 3 Wisps, yay. And like you don't really have enough damage to make Savage Roar worth it quite yet. Like this is one of those instances where you may play like a tempo 4/4 Arcane Tyrant and just hate your life. Now it's gonna be Whispering Woods for 3 Wisps. Okay. Fair enough. Don't mind it. Here's a hard decision as to whether or not you want to Defile or just tap Hooked Reaver. I personally am in favor. Wait, let me think. So if you tap Hooked Reaver and your opponent has Savage Roar, he starts to trade 2 Wisps in. So yeah, I like the Hooked Reaver. I really like the Hooked Reaver here. I think Defile is the worst play, Hellfire is the middle one, but I really like the Hooked Reaver. If he has to commit a Savage Roar into clearing a Hooked Reaver, you're pretty okay with this. Like, you will Hooked Reaver and trade into the 4-1 with your Drake. Only, I guess you have to do the calculations of whether or not you die to double Savage Roar, which, you don't quite. Double Savage Roar would put, let's see, 4 face and 5 for each of these. 2 go into Hooked Reaver. it would do 10 damage, which is not quite enough to end you. And so yeah, I still like the Hooked Reaver here, but I don't blame him at all for Hellfiring, clearing the board, you know, activating his Spellstone, especially after losing after being a tad greedy last game. He feels like he wants to play a little more conservative. So I'm fine with this. He knows that he has a follow-up of Dread Infernal, which can allow him to clear. And on the other side, Ben's like, screw it, I got face damage. I'm going to put you down to 6 health and see what you're going to do about it. So a pretty interesting play, honestly. I guess with a hand like this, Ben feels like there's just no way he can continue pressuring. And so I expect to see just Hooked Reaver pass. I don't think you can afford to tap here. You know, you know that the only damage that this Token Druid can get through a taunt is 4. And so you're pretty confident Hook Reavering. Interesting to see the Mountain Giant. So Mountain Giant's a little more scary. Mountain Giant means that you lose to Swipe Savage Roar. And luckily for Ron, that is not going to be the case. There is no, the second swipe is not in hand. And so Savage Roar by itself is not quite enough to get there. So instead we're going to see Giggling Inventor, Thwack to the face to bring him down to 5. And so, again, you know, this demands an answer, and I wonder what answer we're gonna get. My personal, I think what I would personally like to see is Drake into the 1/2 and then Defile to clear this board, and then set up a Hooked Reaver with your remaining mana. You're not quite dead to swipe. UI doesn't come for several more turns, and you're almost definitely gonna have something to Spellstone or you can Shroom Brewer in the following turns. And I think Defile just feels very clean here. You know, it's open decklist, you know exactly what your opponent's running, you know that there's no like wonky Starfire that's gonna kill you. So, yeah, I would be really fine with defiling here.
Computing.
Is he gonna go for the Spellstone Defile? I mean, if you Spellstone Defile, you lose the Drake anyways, so that may have just been a miscalculation. And he cast the Spellstone on a Divine Shield, so he didn't even gain the health. Oh no, that's an unfortunate misplay, and that means that he is going to be dead to this swipe. He's spamming error, error, and man, that is a very unfortunate error. Wait, oh my gosh, Ben doesn't see the lethal. He drew swipe. Oh no. Oh no! What is happening? What is happening? Okay. Hooked Reaver, Shroom Brewer. Please. Let's restore some sanity to our lives. Everything is okay. Ben's just restoring order to the galaxy. But man, that was rough. And oh no. So you can swipe face. I actually like swiping face here. You swipe face, trade the Arcane Tyrant in, and your opponent's back on 1 health. Or you can you can do it that way. Actually that's better because you wait, no, you're just dead on board that way. I am so confused. Okay. Well, that's 1-1 in a rather unexpected manner. And you know, everything's fine. As expected, the Evil Warlock manages to pull out a win against this Token Druid in somewhat unconventional, fashion. And we're gonna be going to game 3. Nothing to see here, guys. So it's gonna be down to the Death Rattle Hunter or the Shudderwalk Shaman to deal with this Even Warlock. I know for a fact that Death Rattle Hunter.
Versus Throw. For Doomhammer, you face Mecha Jiraxis!
Alright, so it is, after a lot of typing in stream chat into friends, I am paying attention again. It is going to be the Shutterwalk Shaman, as a matter of fact. I believe it is quite favored
We have
against
turned our
the even
thirst
lock.
into our strength.
And yeah, Shutterwalk Shaman's pretty solid. On the other side, we see turn 3 Mountain Jam possibilities, although that's going to get immediately hexed. Two Hooked Reapers for a deck that's going to fail to lose health very efficiently in this matchup. And just taking a quick look at the Shutterwalk Shaman, it's only running one copy of Earthshock, but Earthshock is fantastic against Twilight Drake. Hex is pretty good against the Giants. Like, Shutterwalk Shaman is just, it feels bad playing even lock against Shutterwalk Shaman. That's what I'm going to say. Gonna see Hero Power Run 2. There's like a very weird, like, case for not Hero Powering if you want to play around Defile on some absurd circumstance, but like, Hero Power is correct, in my opinion. I don't actually play the Shaman, so who knows.
What to do?
Yeah. Matchup feels a little strange for both players just because you have a whole bunch of like aggro cards or whatever that just aren't particularly relevant. Turn 3 Giant is absolutely relevant. A little curious to see the Gluttonous Ooze come down instead of the Acolyte of Pain. I sort of understand it. You're trying to put on more pressure. Very surprised to... Oh no, he's gonna Glacial Shark the Giant. I see. I was gonna say I'm pretty surprised to see the Farsight come out instead of the Hex, but it's possible that he just wants to hold on for a turn, see what's up. This board might get Defiled away though. I think like Defile and Vulgar actually feels pretty good here. I guess you knock down your Giant by a couple of health, but like, do you have another play? You're not really. Vulgar gets you a tad closer to being a Hooked Reaver range, which you sort of want to be. And it looks like Ron may be going for Defile. Yep, it's gonna be Defile. And it's gonna be Vulgar. Alrighty. Good to see, good to see. I'm expecting like Life Drinker Acolyte or something. Life Drinker is actually, right, Life Drinker Hex. That makes much more sense. I don't know what I was thinking. Life Drinker is a little curious to see just because you're getting your opponent ever so closer to Hook Reaver range. But on the other hand, I mean, whatever. Tap and Double Ooze. Tap and Double Ooze seems sort of reasonable to me, although Lightning Storm's a bit of a punish. Other than that, like, you don't really want a Shroom Brewer when you're so close to Hook Reaver range. Tap, see what you get. You have to play something because you're at 10 cards. You could just ditch the coin, but like, why? Like, yeah. I think Double Ooze, clear some hand space. If you get stormed, so be it. Shroom Brewer on the Vulgar. Okay, I'm okay with this too, actually. It's a more robust board against Storm, and so it's gonna get rewarded by not getting stormed. And Storm is gonna happen. Storm gets a low row on both minions, although the first one doesn't matter, only the Shroom Brewer one does. He's gonna play Manatide just to cycle, even though the Manatide's gonna die immediately. And on the other side, it's actually a little awkward because he can't just immediately tap into Hooked Reaver. He has to like play a minion, tap, declare hand space, and then coin Hooked Reaver. Although with Mountain Giant, I feel like he just dropped Mountain Giant instead. It's one heck of a tap. It's gonna slate a Manatide. I would prefer to see Mountain Giant and coin Hooked rather than coin Hooked Reaver. You can always coin Hook next turn. And Mountain Giant this turn just, it makes so much sense. Your opponent's already committed a Hex. Like, the only thing I can see is if you're scared of getting Volcano, but even if you get Volcano, you have a massive reload with coin Hook. Like, your opponent needs like double Volcano or something to deal with this. And we see that there is no Volcano in sight. It's gonna have to be like Saronite to delay a tad.
How long can this go on?
And so with Saronite committed, looks like we may see Mossy Horror to clear the Saronite Chain Gangs. It would sort of make sense. The double hook isn't a terrible play either. Like I could even see a coin Bone Mare, but Mossy Horror makes sense. It also puts a ton of health on the board, making your board much more robust against Volcano. So it makes it rather unlikely that a Volcano will kill the Giant. It is going to be Mossy. I love Mossy Horror. That card puts in so much work in the current meta. And yeah, another Saronite's gonna get committed, but you know, it's not terrible. That thing's gonna absorb a lot of damage. Never mind. It's gonna absorb much less damage with Hellfire. I think. Let's see. Hellfire allows you to put 13 damage to face, putting your opponent to 5 health, and you can still commit a second Hooked Reaver. The downside is Hellfire makes you have 7 plus 4 plus 5 is 16 health on board, making you a little vulnerable to Volcano, so that may be the counter consideration. There's definitely still like a Bone Mare play, which lets you do some value trades, lets you continue to have a big board and still have some decent face damage. Like in a way, Hellfire is only really clearing one Saronite, so I could totally see another play. But it's gonna be Hellfire into almost definitely Hooked Reaver, and I mean we see that the Volcano is still nowhere to be found. And Volcano's not there. Is this game? Let's see. He can freeze one minion and heal 3. He needs to get a Taunt Totem, right? Okay, he can reduce 3 damage there. Freeze there. Heal 3. And he's technically still alive, except Bone Mare kills him. So we'll see whether or not he gets that Taunt Totem. Wait, no. Bone Mare kills him through Taunt Totem. Okay, and that's going to be a 2-1 series lead from Ron. Picking up a massive win. Picking up a massive win in a matchup that he's... Well, unless he misclicks. Unless he misclicks. What's happening? Someone please explain what's happening. Oh no. Oh no. He can draw. He doesn't get Volcano. Everything's fine. The game still goes in favor of Ron. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here at all. It's gonna be down to the Death Rattle Hunter for Ben. Okay, so Ron says he has a bad mouse. You should buy a new mouse. Nonetheless, he gets the win anyway, so everything's alright. Deep breaths. I was not prepared to cast this series at all.
Hello.
Hello. So it looks like I'm joined by my esteemed co-caster Logan. Welcome,
Yes.
welcome. Have you been watching?
Totally didn't forget that it was at 7.
How much of this series have you seen so far?
Of this currently running one, like
Yep.
this game, none.
This entire series. So we saw not respecting swipe for death in game 1, multiple miss lethals in game 2, and Ron's bad mouse making him misclick lethal in game 3.
Oh, that hurts.
Nonetheless, Ron is up 2-1, and Ben is gonna have to make the comeback of his life to get back in this one, especially since he has a second best of 5 he needs to win, if he survives the first one. So we see Death Rattle Hunter, very strong deck against the Even Warlock. Interesting to see that Ron chooses to keep Skulking Geist in his opening hand. It's obviously crazy good against Play Dead and to a lesser extent Tracking. Let me quickly bring up the deck list for our...
I didn't see, did he keep the Twilight Drake or did he find it?
Nope, he found the Twilight Drake.
Okay.
Yeah, keeping Twilight Drake's always debatable. On the other side, we see Egg, we see Play Dead. There's gonna be a good opening.
And Kelliseth.
And Kelliseth.
Oh man.
Well, that's what you want to see.
Alright, I don't want to call it early, but that's pretty good for Hunter.
Yep. Nonetheless, we're gonna play this out. Tap Vulgar Homunculus. There's a debate for not tapping, but I feel like you always tap.
Why wouldn't you tap?
The only reason not to tap is if you're like, okay, I'm playing this Twilight Drake for sure on turn 4, and there's gonna be one smaller. Oh, sorry, not tapping, not playing the Voger.
Oh, okay.
My bad. Okay, we see an egg without the pop. Curious.
So I'm actually wondering if he's gonna try to do some shenanigans with a cube later.
That could be so, yeah, like save to play dead for the cube. But I mean, Skulking Geist was kept in opening hand, so. Twilight Drake's gonna come down. You could go for the 1 in 10 tap for Mountain Giant and play 3 mana Mountain Giant, but that feels a tad bit ambitious.
Yeah, I feel like just Twilight Drake trade, that's a pretty solid turn.
Yeah. Your Drake fights fairly reasonable for board, even if the egg gets popped once. If the egg gets popped twice from Terrascale play dead, it's a little less fun. But Terrascale, luckily for Ron, is not yet in hand. It could get Tracking into hand.
Yeah, this Geist is looking worse and worse as we see all the 1-mana spells already in the Hunter's hand.
Like, I think Tracking makes sense, right? You can pull Terrascale, you can pull a second play dead. Coin lets you play both Terrascale and play dead if you want to. And obviously we have Spectator View and see the Geist.
Yeah. See, so if you wouldn't play that, like, what's your alternative? Like, I feel like Tracking's coming down here no matter what.
I mean, your alternative is Spider Bomb and 50/50.
Yeah.
Or I guess Spider Bomb and make a 5/5. It's gonna be Tracking. Tracking's gonna find
Ooh.
2 Hunter's Marks, which would have got a Geisted otherwise, and a Spider Bomb. I think he grabbed the bomb. I don't think Hunter's Mark feels that useful if you don't have Candle Shot.
So, I think you could make a case for Hunter's Mark, but Spider Bomb is also really good.
Yep. And I just play a bomb here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This hand is sorta awkward if you're the...
You can tap and then decide what you want to do.
So there's an interesting play you could make, which is pop the egg, hit 2 on the 5/5 and then Hellfire and clear everything. But I don't know if that feels good as the Warlock player, because you don't really win the long game in this matchup.
I will say I'm actually usually a fan of popping eggs, though. Just deal with 1/5/5 rather than many.
I totally
However,
agree.
Might be baiting that for the cube play dead play.
There's also a really weird thing where your opponent didn't play dead on the egg yet, and so you're just like, ooh, they don't have it, right? There's no way they have played dead.
So now I would absolutely Spellstone that egg and then full trade.
Spellstone and full trade, not Hellfire? Both of them clear the board, and Hellfire buffs up the Spellstone for later.
That's true. I don't know why I preferred my way.
Yeah, I think I like Hellfire, because Hellfire is also not super useful, except for against some cube boards, but also not all cube boards. And he's gonna cube a Spider Bomb. Okay. It makes sense, I guess.
It's a bit annoying.
Yeah. Well, Geist, right? You've been saving that.
That's why you kept it.
Yep. Oh, that's a play dead god. No cube shenanigans there, but you see, it's killed 2 play deads. You're like, what just happened? Where's the other Tracking? Where's the Hunter's Marks?
Okay. You can make a pretty good turn here with Hellfire Defile, I believe. Wait, actually, can you get a 1? Yes, Taraxis.
I have never been great with my Defile math.
I don't actually think you can make a 1.
No, me neither. Like, for someone who plays a lot of even lock, Defile math is definitely my weakest point with it. The saddest part is I'm not even terrible at it. It's just like...
So, I would consider hitting cube there. Like, I think it's okay not to, but... This
agree.
high main just gets a free trade. Wait,
Yeah,
really?
I don't think there's a reason to hit the cube in. You can't pop your spider bombs.
You can
Oh,
with Mossy
Mossy
Horror,
Horror.
but
That's true. Mossy Horror is a board clear,
okay, okay, yeah.
and you keep
And
a
you
full
leave your
health
lion.
Savannah. Yeah. Okay, I can see that. You end up with like a decent board.
That's actually pretty sick looking at
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. And you put your opponent down to 11 health. Like, I really like that in hindsight.
Yeah.
Is Ron dead? He plays Lich King that dies to crush, and there's not quite lethal on board. I guess he's
You
one off
can
dead.
you can vulgar shroom brewer your own face and throw out news.
Destroy.
Wait, is that? It's technically not dead.
Yeah, I mean he's technically not dead if he plays Lich King either. He just survives on one. But I'm also not seeing a path back into the game.
Yeah.
Destroy.
Like I feel like whatever you do, I'm not seeing a path back into the game. But like with Lich King, yeah, at least you know your opponent doesn't have play deads anymore for like a second spider bomb. You know they don't have Hunter's Mark anymore. So like, the only thing you're really worried about is a crush. Although with Lich King, he'll burn a card, but honestly, burning a card is the least of your worries right now. You're basically dead. It's gonna be Lich King.
And Death Coil's pretty good.
Yep,
Probably not good enough though.
probably not. Wait, there's lethal. Spider Bomb, Flanking Strike on a Spider Bomb, and Hero Power was lethal.
Ooh, nice spot.
But I think the game is still all but over. It's just, miss lethal though. There's still not a convincing way back into this game for
Yeah.
Rod. Or I'm not sure there's a way
I
to survive this turn.
I like the homunculus play.
I'm okay with tapping also.
Computing.
Is there a Defile we're not? There might actually be a Defile we're not seeing. No?
2-4. No, he needs one more mana.
Yeah.
This Defile is actually like not great.
Mm-hmm. It'd have to be like double Defiled and you don't have heals. If you had some health buffer to play the Vogard, then yeah, that's gonna be game. And so that's gonna be a 2-2 tight series, and it's
Half
gonna
blast,
be
lol.
it's it's gonna be down to the Hunter Mirror.
But your world is still doomed.
Is Ron bringing Death Rattle Hunter?
Yep, Death Rattle Hunter, Katharina package, very similar lists. One difference is no Savannah High Main in Ron's list. Instead, he has one more copy of Saturday Night Chain Gang.
Interesting. Okay. So Ron, even if this goes poorly, he will get one more chance to come back since
Correct.
he's the upper bracket.
He will get one more best of 5. But
The hunt begin.
yeah. This mirror honestly feels like who gets Egg and or Keleseth.
Yes. Oh,
And
that's not a good hand
That's
for
a very
Benjamin.
heavy hand for Ben. For Ron, tracking is going to give him a solid amount of digging for Egg, and 2 Terror Scales is obviously good follow-up. On the other hand, I mean, Shaw does, do big work if it's uncontested. None of that's Egg.
Mm.
Do you keep flanking or do you keep Cube?
I feel like Cube, but I don't know. I think both of these players are probably thinking, wow, my hand's garbage. I lost this.
Yeah, my heart says Cube. The part of me that really loves flanking says flanking. It's gonna be Cube. Okay. Makes sense.
Wouldn't that be your heart saying flanking then?
No. I like cube. I think flanking's better. Is what it comes down to. Man, that's a lot of not egg for Ron, huh?
Yeah. Hmm. How do you feel about coin spider bomb?
I thought about it. It's not bad, but it's also not great.
The funny thing is, it like in a vacuum, it seems really bad, but knowing both hands, it's pretty damn good.
It's an unanswerable minion that deals with all these big minions with their double turn scale.
Oh,
It is gonna be Coin Spider Bomb.
Ron made the read.
Yep. And we're gonna see
Oof.
another button click. And now.
Although,
Hello.
Serenite's pretty good.
Yep. Is this the Tempo Terror Scale? It is the Tempo Terror Scale. I can't
Spider
blame
bomb
him.
misfit.
I can't blame him. Alright. Serenite. Killiseth is way too greedy.
So you can clear both and leave a 3/1, and play your own Serenite.
I would actually consider playing Terror Scale, trading one in and like doing things, but clearing both and leaving a 3-1 and a Serenite's also reasonable. I just like keeping the Spider Bomb. You have so much Death Rattle trigger
That's-
in your hand.
That's true. Yeah, no, I'm okay with this.
It's still really awkward. Like floating mana never feels good, and like yeah, I think this does leave a bit more of a robust board. And like Witchwood definitely feels much less good to play into this. At this point, you're like, do I Shaw or do I just Kelliseth and like chill for a turn? Oh, it's gonna be Witchwood.
I think you do Witchwood because next turn you can shock Eliseth.
That's true. Well, this thing's gonna get play deaded. Ben's just like, how's he have so many Death Rattle activators? Serenite play dead, right?
Yeah, seems good to me.
Yep. Only thing is, you're like, how bad is Death Rattle, Death Stalker Rexar into this board? I guess you still have 3 minions up if you Rexar. Oh, that's a monster though. At least it dies to Death Rattle, I think.
But like, even now you've
That's
you've
true.
still got. Oh, do you just slam that? I think you do.
I think you do too. I mean, there's an argument for Grizzly and like continue to push board.
Yeah. I guess you've got your opponent down to 12. Maybe
Yep.
you keep him on the clock, but then you're not really doing anything.
Cube. Okay. Well, second Grizzly is gonna have a lot of impact. Hunter's Mark is a little curious.
Interesting. I think you. What do you do? Like, I don't even know what you do in this game anymore.
Rexar. Trade Rexar.
I guess you're XR, but then it feels bad because you would have wanted to do that last turn.
That's true, but like you're. Oh no, actually trade Witchwood hero power, right? Your opponent has no more taunts left in his deck. Oh wait, no, you can't kill the thing anymore.
Yeah, I think you could still
I think you trade the
cube it.
cube. I think you trade the cube. I agree.
play around Rexar.
Only thing you're scared of is counter cube. But Katharina's gonna pull Crush, guaranteed. Man, this is really awkward for Ron, huh? Counter Katharina has a 2 and 3 of pulling a 3-12 and a 1 and 3 of pulling a counter Crush.
He's played one Grizzly.
Oh wait, he has, yeah, so 50-50.
Doesn't matter.
And sure. I still feel like you traded the cube. If your
Yeah.
opponent has a cube, he's cubing the Crush. That's not a cube. How good is Deathstalker Rexar? Honestly, not great.
So yeah, I think you can Katharina Grizzly flanking the 312.
I like Shaw. I really like Shaw.
Yeah, Shaw with flanking and does Play Dead do anything now?
No.
Wait, there should be a.
No.
Oh, there's not a high main. Okay.
Yep. There are 0 beasts left in Ben's deck. But I think Shaw flanking makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's also like one of the only things that keeps you alive, I believe.
That's also likely. Actually, so Shaw flanking lets him kill that, and yeah, he's barely alive.
I believe Ron can put him down to 2.
Now.
Although, following
No.
up with Deathstalker Rexar,
Yeah. No, Ron. Alright, Ron can put him down to 2, but at the cost of losing his ping. I think. Eh? Eh? Eh?
no, Ron just
Oh,
gets
he's
to
dead.
put him.
He's dead. Hero power
Oh!
Rexar. Hero power Rexar wins
Yep.
the game. Come on, Ron. Don't miss lethal for the nth game in a row. Okay, that's a hero power.
Good start. Good start. Oh,
That's a Rexar.
he's-
And that's the finals. I hope.
all right.
Alright,
Yep.
3 plus 6 does in fact add up to larger than 8. Yep, just double counting that 6 is in fact larger than 5. And 3-2 series win, and that's gonna be Ron's very first championship. Well deserved after such a long period of consistency, even if a few events in this series were a tad bit questionable.
It's also a really strong showing from Benjamin in his
Mhm.
first series ever.
Yep. I've talked
See.
about this a little, but he made a ridiculous run through the lower bracket.
Yeah. After getting sent home, not sent home, but sent down in round 1 in a pretty close 3-2 game.
Yep, he proceeds to make it all the way back, crushing a lot of, or not crushing, but defeating a lot of very strong players, including a rather tilted Logan.
Oh yeah, that was a fun time.
Fresh off getting destroyed by Rod.
Yes.
That was a really good series, though. For any of you who haven't caught any of the matches so far, I'd recommend watching the Logan versus Ben series. that was intense.
So Benjamin just joined Facebook September 4th, so he's only been here a month and he already has a second place finish in a Hearthstone game under his belt. So that's definitely good on PSCA for Benjamin.
Yep, for sure. And Ron, after exhibiting steady improvement over time, has finally reached the summit. Big congratulations to Ron. Not dropping a single series in this entire thing. Not dropping a single game until upper bracket semifinals.
Yeah, that's quite the impressive run. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you at the HCT finals next time.
Yep. And, yeah.
Okay.
Rod's talking about deleting the VODs of the first couple of games.